Many times, driver operators find themselves and their apparatus in tight spaces. Pumper drivers often need to turn their apparatus around in cramped apartment complex parking lots to complete reverse lays, and aerial drivers must sometimes position their apparatus in the wrong direction of travel on an interstate highway after accessing a traffic-stopping motor vehicle accident from a downstream exit. Although turning fire apparatus around may not be difficult when adequate room is available, it becomes exceedingly more complicated in areas with limited space. To effectively develop a driver-operator candidate's awareness of the backing and turning characteristics of their apparatus and to reinforce the principles of frequent mirror usage, fender judgment, attentiveness to vehicle tracking, and the importance of a properly positioned spotter, NFPA 1002 specifies a confined space turnaround exercise that every candidate should be able to successfully perform before being authorized to drive the apparatus. Driver-operator Skill 5, turning apparatus 180 degrees within a confined space, is a TCFP skill objective that assesses the candidate's ability to turn the apparatus 180 degrees within a confined space without striking perimeter markings simulating hard, immovable barriers such as concrete highway dividers, fixed structures, and/or rows of parked vehicles. The boundary lines for this simulated confined space form an area 50 feet in width and 100 feet in length, with a 12-foot wide entry and exit point at one end. What follows is a demonstration of the performance standards of driver-operator skill number 5, turning apparatus 180 degrees within a confined space. The objective of this performance standard is for the candidate to turn their apparatus 180 degrees within the confined space so that the apparatus is turned without striking obstructions surrounding the space. A minimum of 11 out of 15 possible points in all pass-fail elements are required to successfully complete this skill. In accordance with AFD General Order E13 Safe Driving Policy, the use of a backing guide will be permitted during this test. A 360-degree visual inspection of the apparatus should be conducted before entering the apparatus. Failure to perform this pre-trip inspection will result in a 3-point deduction. The candidate should then enter the apparatus using available steps and handrails to lift themselves into the cab. The use of the steering wheel for this purpose will result in a 1-point deduction. All mirrors should then be checked and adjusted for proper positioning. Failure on the candidate's part to verify appropriate mirror setting or to properly use the mirrors to correctly judge apparatus clearance will result in a 2-point deduction. Prior to moving the apparatus, the candidate must engage all available passenger restraint devices and ensure that no other personnel inside the apparatus are in a standing position. Moving the apparatus prior to addressing these two safety elements will result in the candidate's immediate failure. Once the candidate has verbalized to the examiner that all pre-trip tasks and checks have been completed, they may begin the driving portion of the skill assessment by moving the apparatus through the entry point opening, moving the apparatus toward one side or the other, and beginning the turning process. A spotter may be used during the process of turning the apparatus around. There is no limit on the number of direction changes that are required before the apparatus is turned 180 degrees. To complete this evolution, the candidate should bring the apparatus back through the original entrance point. Several elements of the driving portion of this skill objective are pass-fail in nature, and certain inappropriate actions on the part of the candidate can result in point deductions. No portion of the apparatus may break the plane of a boundary line. Any portion of the apparatus touching or breaking the plane of a boundary line will result in the candidate's immediate failure. Remember, the boundary lines in this test represent hard, immovable objects. Dry steering, the turning of the front tires of the apparatus while the vehicle is not in motion, will result in a 1-point deduction per occurrence. Steering of the front axle full left or right when the vehicle is stationary with the service brake applied has been linked to fractures of the pitman arm on late model Pierce apparatus. Here is an example of the driving portion of this skill objective being performed in its entirety by both an engine and an aerial apparatus. A minimum of 11 out of 15 possible points in all pass-fail elements are required to achieve a passing score for this skill. This concludes this tutorial of Driver-Operator Skill 5, turning apparatus 180 degrees within a confined space. For detailed recommendations on techniques to develop the proficiencies tested in this performance skill objective, refer to the document entitled Driving Course Teaching Points included in the Module 3 resources for this course.